Do you have to face the right way again? Hey, I'm Obi. That's Ed. We are drinking from the Garden Hose, your favorite podcast about nothing. Find us wherever you can get your podcast, whether it's Google, whether it's Apple, whether it's Spotify. And we're even on some other app I just heard about called, something. Ed, how are you?
Obi, I'm doing great. And as you know, today is a very, very special episode.
Yes, it is. By the way, that app's called Castro. Ed, why don't you tell our fans why this episode is so extremely special?
Well, this episode is so extremely special because it is our 100th episode.
Streamers.
100 episodes. Most podcasts don't get to that, but we did. And, I think we should treat tonight like a trip down memory lane. We should treat it like it's the coronation celebration that it is. We should use it as an opportunity to give an acceptance speech for the award that we're getting for having 100 episodes, and all of the above. So, Obi, I would like to start first with some thank yous so I don't forget them. And then I want to take us down a little trip down memory lane, if you don't mind.
Surely.
So here are my thank yous. I'd like to thank the composer of our theme music, because actually, I don't think we've actually ever thanked him. And he reminds me of that often. So 100 episodes have gone by. I don't think we've thanked Aaron Rester for creating our theme song. And I told him I needed something like Miami Vice-ish, 80s type theme, and that's what he came up with. I think he did a great job. So thank you, Aaron, for that. And I think we also thank Bill Stevens for designing our website. I don't think there's another podcast out there that has a better website than we do, Obi. And I used to really enjoy recording the podcast and then looking at how many downloads we had. I don't actually really care about downloads anymore. I care about the interactions with the fans. I want to see what they're thinking with the poll questions. I want to read their comments, and that's what gives me the most joy. So I got to thank Bill Stevens for the website.
Before you interrupt, sorry, I'm going to interrupt before you thank.
You just interrupted me. What are you talking about?
Yeah, right. I'm interrupted, not before. Before you continue, I'm going to interrupt. And I just want to say to all those fans who, and there are a few of you, who like to send me comments directly. And I do appreciate it. I do love hearing from you. But Ed, you are 100% right. I've stopped looking at downloads. I want to see what the conversation is on our website. We've talked about some of those people whose names we can't identify with who they are, but I love it. That is actually my favorite part of doing this, is going to our website and seeing what our friends have to say. Now, please continue with your thank yous.
I agree. So tell your friends to text you when you should have a canned response that has the website address and say, tell it to the website.
Thank you. Tell it to the website.
Tell it to the website. So, speak to the hand, we'll speak to the website. So those are the thank yous.
You're missing a very important one.
Oh, shit. Well, that's why we have you.
Because you're going to get in trouble for missing. Well, first, I know we both want to thank our wives for letting us do this and putting ourselves out there. So thank you.
I said like acceptance speech. I didn't say it was like the Oscars where we have to thank our families and shit like that. Okay, go for it.
All right. And then the next person we need to thank is Sam Phillips for making when she has an S on her name, unlike you, by the way. That was on purpose. No, we want to thank Sam Phillips for building our logo when we didn't have a logo.
Oh, that is true. That is right. I forgot about that. She put you're right. We just had a concept of a name because we're old guys. And that's right. So thanks for remembering that, Obi.
You're welcome.
That really saved me. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm here for you because the times they're changing and she would come at you with an axe. I hope so.
Maybe. So those are the thank yous. And then I guess just a little trip down memory lane. And we're going to get to those comments. One of the things, Obi, I wanted to do today is really just talk about some of the top comments and maybe poll questions we've had on our website. A trip down. That's a little trip down memory lane. But here's the thing: we didn't have the website 100 episodes ago. No. We've only had the website for about last year. But with that said, what most people we did an origin story, but I don't think we ever really did the origin story. This all came out of, and I think it's ironic, this all came out of, you had a show where you every Friday night, you must have no social life because every Friday night you went live talking to people about whiskey and scotch. And you had me on one night and I was busting your chops because I didn't drink whiskey at the time. And I pulled a fast one on you and I drank beer instead of the whiskey. And then it just evolved from there. And we got this podcast going over 3 years later. So I wanted to acknowledge that, Obi. And I think the ironic part about it is I drink probably more cocktails now when I go out, whiskey cocktails mostly, than I drink beer when I go out to bars. So there's that.
I'm always here and glad to help you out in your maturing and maturation process. Yes.
Yes. And there's many comments that talk about my lack of maturity and lack of process. Let's just put it that way. But we'll get to that. I know you have a couple things that you wanted to talk about. I mean, that was kind of my 100th episode like thing. So, I'm sure you have something. And, the one thing also we should point out is we got feedback very early on that when we prepared, we sucked. So then we just stopped preparing. So I don't know if you have anything prepared, Obi, because if you do, it's probably going to suck.
I have two subjects that we talked about over the course of our podcast that I wanted to re-bring up. So one of those subjects, our very first episode, was the trouble with technology. I hadn't gotten to the naming our podcast after an 80s music lyric yet. So it's just called Troubles with Technology. And
which, by the way, I want to interrupt you since you already interrupted me once this episode. That whole idea of naming the podcast after 80 songs, that I want our listeners to understand that was never discussed between the two co-creators of the podcast. That was just something you started to do.
You never pushed back.
I have no idea what you're doing half the time. Most of the time, it doesn't even make sense to me, but I just want everyone to know that that was not that was an Obi. He pulled an audible and he just went down that road.
Well, I'm not that creative, and so that was the only way for me to do it. But before then, it was called Trouble Technology. We talked about how hard it was for us to figure out how to even get this thing started. And sort of to celebrate that, last week, the software I use to make the podcast, to take it from our recording and get it out to the website and then to the various locations, as well as the software we use to record on, have both changed. So it used to be that I would get a single audio track for you and a single audio track for me. And now I'm getting a stereo audio track for you and a stereo audio track for me downloaded. And that's what's put in software. So I have to figure out now how to either go with that or break that apart, because I do like to up you a little bit on the left-hand side and me a little bit on the right-hand side. I hope our listeners enjoy that slightly stereophonic sound. But the other software that I do that on has also changed. So it was a big nervousness last episode because I didn't start the process of uploading it until 20 minutes before my deadline for the night, or I would not have gotten it up in time. But I figured it out. I'm not going to name either of the two tools that we use because we don't have sponsors yet. But yeah, all of a sudden I felt like I was back at day one at episode 99, trying to figure out how the heck to get it done. So that was one thing.
Well, so Obi, I got to give you mad props because you actually uploaded the episode on time, and back before the software changed, there's been a few occasions that I went through a trip down memory lane with comments that you actually were late in uploading the episode, with apparently no excuse. And the
None
time
whatsoever.
you did have a good excuse. You were on time, so good job.
Excellent. And then Ed, we might want to put this conversation off, but when I got my new car that just got smashed. When I first got it, I told you how much I love the cruise control and how it lets you maintain the space. And you said, well, we'll see how you feel about that down the line. So I have some thoughts on that. Maybe we'll discuss it, maybe we won't. Let's see what you haven't prepared and our fans have to say. And we'll see if we want to come back to the cruise control later or at a future date.
All right. So here we go, Obi. We're just going to go with some of the best comments, and again, this is my opinion of the best comments. So any of you who made comments that were negative towards me, I'm not going to be reading them because I don't find them funny. So most of these are negative towards Obi, obviously, but some of the things I think are just funny. And this first one is about me. And we were talking about fat cat and food at the grease trucks in this one episode. And somebody decided to write a comment. Fun fact, before graduating to the Fat Cat, Ed used to get a plain ass cheesesteak, just cheese and ketchup. Then he grew up. So I think it's great that our listeners actually chime in and have to give their own opinions on what we're doing. And I think, we had another episode around last Thanksgiving, and you learned during that episode, live on air, that certain bars are actually restaurants. And you never realized that. You thought they were just bars. And I had
Yes.
to explain to you that no, they just moved the tables. And so we had a pretty cool poll. And the poll after that episode was, would you eat in a restaurant that was a well-known and crowded sticky floor bar at night? And 67% of the people said, no way, no self-respecting restaurant that's serious about food does that. I'm not eating there. I don't care how much they say to clean it. So again, most of our listeners aren't like you because they know better. So I thought that was interesting. But this is where we get into negative comments about Obi that really it get me excited. Is this one comment? I don't even know what it was in relation to, but this is maybe one of the greatest comments. Is who knew that Obi is a menopause support person? You said in one of our episodes that you're a menopause support person. I don't know why you said it or in what context, but someone picked up on that. And this was also another interesting comment that my daughter was on here defending. Remember, she came on to defend her now ex-boyfriend, but she came on to defend him. Somebody
Yes.
said, great episode. Glad she got on there to defend her boyfriend. She also verified what we all suspected, that Ed is unhinged. He needed to be taken down a notch after Obi said to Ed, "You're Howard Stern, and I'm happy to be your Robin Quivers," which surely inflated his ego. And yes, reading this comment again reminded me that I'm Howard and you're Robin.
Listen, I'm very comfortable being Robin in that aspect, but I'm scrolling through some of the comments on the webpage. And
wait a second. That means you're going to read the negative ones about me. I thought I cornered the market on this idea and I could keep it positive about me.
No, I mean, I don't say this is negative. I'm just going to say that this was written by somebody and said, my son is one of the podcasters. So as of right now, there's 4 people this could be from. His description of his childhood is somewhat exaggerated and, dare I say, inaccurate, in parentheses, selective memory. Now, I'm not going to read the name of the person who wrote that, but it is a woman's name and it's not my mother. So I just want to say, you are on here on this on this podcast insulting your mother with the memories of your childhood. And I think that that's important for us to remember, that even your mother thinks that your Howard Stern's a little exaggerated and inaccurate.
Well, I think that maybe that person that wrote that has the selective memory and not me. I like to think my version of history is the correct version. But Obi, I want to go back to the time that you told a story about how you were walking to your hybrid car, which also got some comments about driving a hybrid. I also drive one, so we won't go. It was a negative comment towards me, so we're not gonna read it. But it was really interesting that during that episode, you talked about how you felt unsafe walking to your hybrid car. So you used the old knuckle key defense mechanism, which is where you take a key and you put it through your knuckles and you make a fist. And so I had a good laugh about that. And so we had this comment: Ed busting on Obi about his knuckle key self-defense technique, and Obi's lack of anything to be attacked over is why I listen. So because remember, I think I said that not only should you not have a knuckle key, but who the hell's going to attack you? You got nothing. Like no one wants, Anyway, and then back in the day, if there was such a thing as a hybrid, you'd get your ass whooped for driving one. That's why Obi needs a knuckle key. So.
And there you go. And that is why I need a knuckle key for sure. And I would argue some of that, but somebody here wrote, these guys argue too much for my taste. Yes, apparently some people want us to come up here and get along. I don't know why that is. This one is, by the way, this is from one of your friends. Yeah, just want you to know.
I don't believe that one either. And here's another one. This was written by Bass Pro, so I think somebody was hiding their name because they didn't want me to know who it was. But they wrote, I think this was the episode where I talked about the eye cream And they said, wait,
Yes, I forgot about the eye cream. And maybe you are Robin and I am Howard Stern. Maybe we should.
well, two things on the eye cream. One is this comment that said, wait, Ed's a metrosexual. I always thought of him as a dysfunctional redneck. A
Mm.
redneck doesn't know how to camp or fish, which I would characterize as correct. I do not know how to camp or fish. And I do want everyone to know, because everyone's probably wondering, I stopped using the eye cream because the shit just wasn't working.
Okay.
So there's that. And then we had a whole episode on being a real man. Um, but there's this goes back to the somebody was making comments on the wrong episode because this goes back to the knuckle key because somebody says Obi's entourage of sword fighters will go medieval on your ass if you step between him and his hybrid in the dojo parking lot. So I just thought it was funny how somebody brought that up on a different episode. But I'm here for that.
Um,
But here might be my favorite one. This might be my favorite one. This was the episode that we talked about TikTok. You wanted us to start posting ourselves on TikTok, which clearly that was your fetish because now you're just doing it by yourself.
yeah.
I was
Fuck
gonna
it.
do
I'm
it.
just going to do it. Right.
Right. But you wanted me to do it with you. And here was a comment about that. Posting video content on TikTok will ultimately decide whether certain fans are excited or frightened by the prospect of Obi's very good oral skills.
Well, I appreciate that comment. Um, so there was one comment, and I knew I'd find it that really got me that I never held back on, brought back up with you, and this appears to be um, an episode where we discussed you going to the doctor, um, and your dog, and Killer Riley's hunting behavior, but I was chastised for missing an opportunity here. So I feel like Obi missed a bullying opportunity when Ed said his wife told him he only eats kids' foods, and this is it. Fun fact: Ed once went to Union Oyster House in Boston and ordered a hamburger with cheese. The witty waitress said, "Okay, you want a cheeseburger." After that, we called him Fish Stick because he never had one. I really think I should be changing our intro to "Hi, I'm Obi," and that's Fish Stick. But I never did. But I really should have.
See, that comment was exactly the type of comment I weeded out for my preparation. That was one I did not want out there, Obi. So thank you very much for bringing that up. But why don't we go back to what I said at the beginning about the trouble with technology and how there are times that you did not upload the episode on time. And so there was this really interesting poll question that we put out there. Obi had his head up his ass this week and published the episode 12 hours late, dot, dot, dot. And then there was 4 responses that you could choose. The first one was that bastard. The second one was I didn't notice. The third one was what could possibly be distracting Obi? And Ed is bullying Obi again. And I think it's really interesting that 64% of the people went with that bastard.
I think it's awesome that they missed their Monday upload and it bothered them. So I appreciate their need to catch us on Monday mornings to get their day up and running properly. I think that's awesome feedback.
That might be why you're late because we put the episode out there on Friday, and you're talking about Monday morning. That might be why you post them late.
That might be. There you go. I don't
Only
even know.
9%, Obi, only 9% said they didn't notice. So people notice when you're late.
Yeah, I'm going to have to take that into account. It's a good thing that the system automatically sets it now for Friday morning and not Monday, because I probably would pick Monday just because why not? Just to fuck with our fans.
It will give you the weekend. So here's another comment here. It was on that same poll, same episode. That was a grammar episode, and we talked about that was the whole episode about 2 spaces after a period or 1 space, and how the kids today only do 1 space and we do 2 spaces, and they look at us like we're weird. And I thought this was interesting because somebody wrote, the fact that you guys devoted so much time to a discussion about punctuation is laughable. The descriptions to these podcast episodes are train wrecks. Your complete ignorance to the rules of grammar, punctuation, note the Oxford comma, and spelling is quite evident. Is your backspace key broken? Grade F. So if you do read the descriptions of so here's the funny story about that, Obi, and I don't know if you know this. but early on, and this was before we were using AI. I don't know if it's because you weren't wearing your readers. I'm not really sure what it was, but the descriptions were a train wreck. There was typos all over the place, and I used to go in and I would edit them. I wouldn't tell you that I edited them because I didn't want to offend you, right? Like I didn't want you to think that I'm like this uppity guy that had to fix everything. So I just went in and fixed that shit and didn't even tell you. I don't even know if you noticed. But then we got to a point where I started to realize it was actually hilarious that everything was screwed up. So I stopped fixing it. And then we go to the AI, and the AI just made it even worse. So because the AI just spits out stuff that doesn't even make sense half the time. And so I think that's part of the charm.
Oh, that listen.
And we're not ready to end, so don't say we suck. We don't suck.
No,
yet.
no. Listen, I appreciate you cutting off the ending if I was going to go there. I noticed in the beginning, and I know that my writing's not good, and the particular thing that I edited in does not have like, the correction. So I remember a few times I cut it out, I put it into a Word doc or whatever, fixed it, and I was like, you know what? Forget this. This is I immediately thought this is just part of it. I am waiting for those comments like, dude, can you write? You write like a 3-year-old. But yeah, no, we don't get those enough because it is insane how poorly I write without any, attempt to like I am not proofreading, like intentionally. I'm giving it the extra mile to let it suck.
Yeah, I think one person noticed it, and I'm wondering if other people, we might get more comments about that. Then we got this. Here's another bullying. Well, no, I did take a picture of this one. But that's not because I was going to read the comment about the you missing about the bullying about the Oyster House. There was a comment below that, Obi, that I thought was funny, which was just from somebody saying, Obi going ape shit about the meddling mom. And if you recall, you were talking about a mom that who was meddling in her kid's life, and you went ape shit on that episode, and somebody called you out for it. I thought that was hilarious.
I thought I didn't feel called out by that comment. I felt supported. When I read that comment, I felt supported.
Well, I think why I took it as you were called out is I don't think you thought you were going ape shit. I think you just thought you were making a point. And the fact that somebody referred to it as ape shit, that takes it up a notch. So that's why I thought you got called out.
Oh, so I think if we look, that's the episode we had to re-record, right?
I don't know.
I think the poll on that one actually says, was this episode better before we re-recorded it?
Maybe.
So that one had a lot of I'm going to say I knew I was going ape shit. I turned it up because the original response to that was totally losing my mind. I don't even remember who the mother was or why I was going ape shit. I'll have to go back and listen to our episodes.
Well, I think it's the mother of maybe definitely of one of your kids' friends, without a doubt.
Yeah.
So then,
was it? I think it was. I thought it was one of your friend's mothers. I thought it was one of.
Oh, it could have been. Oh,
yes,
it was.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. I do recall. I don't want to go into the story because there were details that were intentionally left out for the protection. But it was your side. I lost my mind.
Yeah, it was about a mom who was trying to get her kid back together with their ex.
Yes, it was.
You actually did go ape shit.
I did, because I thought that was crazy. I'm actually feeling I don't even remember the full story, but I'm feeling the rage come back.
Yeah, you did have rage. And it might be the only rage ape shit moment you had. But so then you told the story about how you went to Ireland, right? Remember you went to Ireland, right? You went over there. And if you remember, you went to a gay bar.
I do recall going to a gay bar.
So a lot of comments about that episode. Here one is the AI woke? No mention of the gay bar in the summary. So we talked a lot about you going to a gay bar, and the AI never picked up on it.
Well, I guess that means the AI is not woke, right? I mean, I think the AI
maybe
I
don't know. That's a good question. But the AI censored out the gay bar. But here's the other part I love is disappointed in Ed letting Obi off the hook for ordering a strawberry daiquiri in a gay bar. And I think what I want to address to everybody is I failed everybody. You're absolutely right. I missed that one. You threw me a fastball right over the middle of the plate, like on a 3-0 count.
That was an EFIS. That was the EFIS. It was so easy. your
Yeah.
wiffle ball skills got lost,
And I took it.
vanished,
I
and
took
you
it.
took the pitch.
I didn't even swing and miss. I just took it. So that will never happen again. So if you go to a gay bar and order a daiquiri again, I will definitely bring that up. And then, the other comment, I mean, this was a
It was
good
by the
episode.
way, it was a frozen daiquiri, just so we like. I was just getting
Yeah.
into the whole.
Make it
Yeah.
even worse that I
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know
Yeah.
how I missed it. And then, the other comment here is Obi on a rant again. Love it. Ed needs a funny soundbite to play whenever Obi gets triggered. So you were on a roll getting triggered, which obviously our people love. And then we got to the Seinfeld,
But before you go on, I have to because it's so fresh in my mind. I have to, and you brought up the gay bar. I have to add an addendum to this gay bar story. So, as we talked about, and you mentioned your father last week and cosplaying and everything. The gentleman I went to the gay bar with.
Hey, wait a second. Don't confuse people by thinking my dad cosplays. He doesn't.
No, I'm sorry. The way you felt that he would be uncomfortable. Just the gentleman I went to the gay bar with also went to Comic-Con with me. And I have to say, this man was more comfortable by far, wasn't even close in the gay bar than seeing people cosplay.
That's interesting because as you were saying it, I was going to interject and going, not surprised that the guy who went to the gay bar with you went to cosplay.
No, he's also straight and married, for whatever that's worth, as far as I'm aware. It was just, and I was not uncomfortable in either situations. It was just strange that a man of our generation, if you said, would you rather go see people dressed up in costume, some of them beautiful people, or would you rather go to a bar that is not your sexual orientation? You would think most people in our age group would hesitate more at the bar situation, and he definitely was the other way around. So I don't know what that means, but it was a surprise to me.
Well, it is a surprise because I would think that I don't find either of those very threatening. I think no big deal, other than you ordering a daiquiri. I think.
Yeah, I know that is my point. Why would you be like, if you're comfortable in the situation that someone from our generation was told not to be comfortable in, why would you be uncomfortable in a completely unthreatening? Yeah, it was.
I get you. So this is when we really, really kind of pulled back the curtain on our creative process, and somebody called us out for it.
Uh-oh.
They said the creative process. Ed, I ate with wooden utensils today. Obi, there's a show. That's a show. Okay, maybe you guys are the Seinfeld of podcasts.
Yes.
We had a whole show on wooden utensils, which, by the way, last night I went to the same place for a sports banquet again and was reminded of the freaking wooden utensils. And I told my wife, I said, I did a whole podcast episode on this, which is crazy.
Did they have wooden utensils again?
Oh, no, they did. They did, which
did.
was nuts. Absolutely nuts.
They're sticking with it. It works, Ed. It works. And
I guess. And then we had an episode where we talked about men as you get older. We like the rain. We watch it rain. We talk about the rain. We talk about our lawns. So I put a poll out there, and the poll was, it rained last night, and there was two answers. We needed that, or the lawn's looking good. I just want everybody to know, 56% of the people said the lawn's looking good, and 44% said we needed that. So we're pretty split, our listeners as well. So I thought that was interesting. And I think the last one I got
that was a poll we put up.
Yeah, that was a poll I put up. Sure.
Yeah. Listen, this is the fun you people who do not go to the website are missing. Like, the one thing I think that, Ed, you're not doing justice is to your polls. You're telling the answers that win, but you are leaving off the answers that you put up there that are just nuts. Like, just nut answers that nobody answers, but are crazy funny. Like, that is you at some of your. If you are not I should start pulling up some of the polls, because Ed's polls that he puts up there are ridiculously funny. Now I got to get this stupid site up. and get to some of these polls because it's like, here we go. Just the one that's open on my page right now. Who's more obnoxious? People posting Northern Light photos or 50-year-olds getting married for the first time, right? We know I went off on that a little bit. So we have easily the Northern Light folks got 60%. Obi is just as dumb as his mustache. Love is love. Those are the two answers. Those are great, but you missed Ed's bullying again, and he offended me. Like, why is that in the poll? I don't know, but it's good. Like,
Well, because there's a theme. People think I bully you. That's why.
Yeah, and rightfully so, Ed. I mean, rightfully so.
But nobody chose that one, by the way. So
No,
clearly I wasn't bullying you that week.
no, you were not. Here we go. Would you dress up in cosplay? Just another recent one. Ed's a bully. It's no big deal. That got 14% of the votes, just want to point out. And then my favorite, we were not talking about this at all, got 0%. Yes, but only in the bedroom. Like, I want to know who our users are because that really should have been more popular. I'm just saying, Wonder Woman and Superman, great time from what I hear.
So here's another poll that you should bring it up. I put this poll out there called, I said, the Hawk Tuah girl is lunch, because we did a whole episode. We did a bonus episode on Hawk Tuah because I guess we wanted to go viral. And so I said, the Hawk Tuah girl is launching a podcast. You plan to drop us and switch to her podcast named Hawk Tuah. And so I'll read all the answers. The first one was, I don't listen to this podcast. I'm just here for the snacks. That was 13% of the people voted for that one, which was interesting. The second response was, I'm your mom. I'll always listen to this podcast. And that got 0%. So my mom didn't even listen to that episode. The third one was absolutely going to switch. Sounds way more interesting. And the reason I pulled this one up wasn't because of the other episode. It was because of this answer, which I was very proud of. The Garden Hose is the most underrated podcast. I'll never stop listening. 88%. So I felt love. So that's why I brought that up.
Well, that is very sweet of our crew, and I don't know the answers to this one because if I'm not logged in as myself, but just a random lame poll you put up. What is the best remake of 80s, 90s movies and TV shows? Baywatch, 21 Jump Street, Chips, and they all suck. Like, I know we're limited in the number of answers, but they all suck was your funny answer. I think you let us down there, Ed. That answer sucks. The charm is that we suck. I'm Obi. That's Ed. Catch you next time on Drinking from the Garden.